So we mad at Steve Harvey for being a bad husband, his first marriage, and like we're faulting him for what he didn't know and
What he
who
didn't
he was
know.
in life at
Well, he was
that
young and dumb.
Yeah, I mean, we're
I
faulting
was
him
young
for
and
what he
dumb.
didn't
I
see.
didn't know.
I mean, people learn at their own pace. They, you don't know where they come from, their background, but wherever he was at that point in time in his life, and whatever he went through with his wife at that time and raising them children, we're faulting him for his mistakes and the fact.
No,
I'm
I'm
not
just looking at, see, to me, and this is just me as a father, I've seen certain nuances in, she was sad also. She wasn't just talking. I seen the sadness in her verbiage. You feel me? If y'all play it again, y'all will see it. And it's a frustration. And it may be me, but I sense sadness and frustration and regret or and possibly resentment. And she was just like, yo, I just didn't know this. And she's just like, fuck, man. Like, if this nigga would have been in my damn life, I probably would have been straight. You know what I'm saying? I just felt it. Now, I might be wrong.
In my 20s, I would not have thought that I would be single and dating at 41.
Yeah.
You have all these ideas of what it's going to be. You done planned out the fairy tale wedding. You done got your kids' names. And you don't see it that I'm going to be single at 41. But when I think back, I was not doing the things that were preparing me for marriage in my 20s. I wasn't doing the things that were preparing me for marriage in my early 30s. And so, am I happily single? Absolutely yes, because I make the most amazing life for myself. But is there a desire for partnership and togetherness? And baby, I know I'm coming home to you every single night. Yes.
Anybody?
All right. I was on that. Go ahead, Marcus.
I mean,
I don't know. I would have questions about that, right? Like, so what work do she think she needed to do at 20 that she didn't do? I'm just curious if anybody could help me on that. And the second thing is,
Training.
do women believe in manifestation to the point where if you're constantly screaming, I'm happy single and I'm happy being by myself, do you create that reality for yourself based off decisions you might unconsciously be making because you're affirming that choice?
She did that, and she confirmed that she's making the best life for herself, but she has a desire, which means that the life that she is building for herself, she's not truly happy in it. She may like the life, she may be able to afford everything that she needs to live comfortably, but she desires to have someone with her. She desires to come home to somebody. And so that's what she's being honest about. That's what she's holding herself accountable for. And then she's saying, "Hey, look, I didn't prepare. I didn't prepare to be a wife, and so this is where I am now."
Do you think possibly before she remixed her verbiage, she could have been the same person yelling, I don't need a man. I'm good
Well,
by
you got to
myself.
be happy,
I don't
Marcus,
need
as a
you. I
single
want
person.
I
you.
You don't
think
think so?
so because
I
it
think
it it feeds it feeds her reality. It feeds
I
her
think she
reality of
may
not
have been.
having a man.
But you got to be happy as a single person. No?
I think you do need to be happy as a single person. But I don't know the way it was worded. It just I would have questions, right? I can't put or place anything on her because I don't know much about the young lady. I didn't even know she was Steve Harvey's daughter. But I'm just curious about that because I really wish she could have spoke to what she because at this point, right, you're looking on something saying you're remiss about what happened in your 20s and 30s. What is that thing that you're remiss about? And what could you tell younger women to not end up in that same situation so you could pay it forward? That's like I would be curious about that. Maybe y'all got thoughts on what those things are and what she could have done.
It was an
It
hour
sounds like
interview. So
I don't really have the context, but it sounds like she did what a lot of women do, which is I'm young, I'm gonna focus on my career. I'm not really focusing on marriage. I don't know if I'm getting it right or wrong, but just putting that energy into your career because she's saying she didn't do it then, so she's looking back as if now I need to do certain things that I didn't do. So what were you doing? You were having fun, traveling, focusing on your career, not doing those wifely duties or just preparing yourself for being a wife. I don't know. That's what it sounds like.
How do
She
you
could have
prepare
also
yourself for
seen
being
her
for?
dad go through failed relationships and could have told herself she didn't want
Exactly.
that. This is not the life that I want. I'm gonna just focus on me. And now that she's 41, middle age,
You're like, you
is
need
like, I
someone
desire
now. Yeah.
to go home with somebody in the bed at night.
I just want to say this: if I mute you, it's not to silence you, but it's for the feedback. So everybody just mute in between, because sometimes we get feedback. All right, go ahead, Amanda. What are your thoughts about it, man?
I think it could have a lot to do with what she was exposed to young. So whether her father was around or her mother wasn't around, there's a lot of subconscious programming that actually happens. And because of that programming that is constantly running, in the background, you as are not always aware of the decisions that you are making are a repetitive cycle to what you've been exposed to or what your brain has put in place as a coping mechanism for safety. So she's saying, in her 20s and her 30s, she feels like she wasn't doing the things to be a wife. I can tell you in my 20s and 30s, not necessarily making the right decisions to be a wife, but yet at the same time, I don't think I was ready to be a wife because of behaviors that were already toxic from my own childhood. And so sometimes until you start to heal, go to therapy, address areas that you need to work on first before you can put yourself in a relationship or a marriage that's going to be successful, it's going to be a repetitive pattern. It really ultimately starts with you first. And I think for this young woman, whatever it was she was doing, whether it was her career or she was having fun, I think later on she has seen like, well, I did want to be married, and yet here I am. I think as a woman, we do have this expectation to some degree that you're going to get married, and in your, midlife, that there is going to be someone there. And suddenly, if that's not what has happened, that isn't the path, then you're going, well, what should I have done or what could I have done? But yet at the same time, maybe waiting is one of the best things that could have happened to you, because you never know. You could be on your third divorce at that point, or find the love of your life at 50. Like, I feel like putting a timeline on things isn't, always the right thing to do. Because who you are in your 20s is not who you are in your 30s, and it's not who you are in your 40s, and
Right.
so on.
Hey, Lady Di, did you go ahead? Marcus, I saw you wanted to say something.
No, to Amanda's point, I mean, I hear what you're saying. All of us go through things, and all of us do need to work on ourselves before we get into a serious relationship. But there's some instances where if we keep waiting and waiting and waiting, oh, I'm not ready yet, then sometimes it just doesn't happen because you're not thinking in a marriage mindset. You're thinking more like, okay, well, it's just me, so I'm going to do these things, and you're not setting yourself up for marriage. So you kind of have to make decisions on dating more and being more proactive in that way, and not always giving it up. Kind of like just practice dating, see like what type of guys do you like. Because sometimes us women, we don't really know what we like in the beginning, especially when we're 20. We're just like, oh, I like this looks cute, but no, that's not what I like. You have to kind of like understand what's going on. So you have to practice, you have to see what's out there, and then you just have to kind of grow up quick. You know what I'm saying? You keep waiting, then you're gonna be 40 years old, right? Some people don't have kids, right? And some people want kids, but you don't want to wait so late, because when you have kids at an older age, you're going to be an older parent. You might not be there for them. Some kids need their parents, but we're too old to raise them, so it's kind of like, you just make better decisions and just kind of move forward in your life, and just figure out how you can be in someone's life and make it work. It don't have to be a toxic relationship because you had a toxic childhood. Sometimes you could learn from each other. Whatever that person could bring could help you. You just got to kind of figure out what that person looks like and just make it work out.